Once upon a time, in a small, humble village, there lived a poor orphan girl named Lade. Life had been harsh to her. She lost her parents to a sudden illness that swept through the village like a cruel wind, leaving her alone to fend for herself in an unforgiving world. Lade had no one, no siblings, no relatives, and no one to turn to. Every day was a struggle for survival. Lade wandered from house to house, begging for food, her frail hands clutching an old tattered basket. Some villagers, with pity in their hearts, would throw her scraps or leftover food. They felt generous enough for doing so, thinking they had done her a favor. But many others would turn her away, their doors slamming shut before she could utter a word. The rejection weighed heavily on her, but Lade was resilient, her spirit unbroken by the harshness of life. There was, however, one person who showed her kindness, a poor old woman who lived at the edge of the village, far from the bustling homes and busy roads. The old woman's small, dilapidated hut was surrounded by wide bushes, and few people ever visited her. But whenever Lade made the long trek to her house, the old woman would always share whatever little she had, a bowl of soup, a piece of yam, or sometimes just kind words. She would tell Lade, "My child, you are always welcome here. Don't be shy. Come to me whenever you need anything." Though the old woman's kindness was a comfort, her home was far, and Lade didn't want to burden her too much, so she continued her daily struggle, surviving on scraps and wild fruits she found in the forest. Despite her hardships, there was something different about Lade, something that set her apart from others. Lade had a heart full of gratitude. Even with the little she had, she was always thankful. She expressed her thankfulness in the most beautiful way, through her voice. If she wasn't talking, she was singing, her voice carrying through the air like a gentle breeze. Often, she would wander deep into the bush, far from the eyes of the villagers, and sing her heart out. Her voice wasn't just melodious, it was enchanting. Birds would stop chirping to listen, animals would pause in their tracks, and even the wind seemed to carry her tunes far and wide. Unknown to Lade, her singing was not just comforting her own soul, it was also warming the hearts of the creatures in the forest. Day after day, Lade would venture into the forest, searching for wild fruits to satisfy her hunger. As she walked, she sang her songs filled with hope and a deep longing for a better life. Sometimes, she would find a tree with ripe fruits and sit under its shade, singing all day, as if her voice could fill the emptiness in her stomach. The forest, usually quiet and foreboding, felt like a sanctuary to her. It was the one place where she could be herself, where her voice could soar freely, and where she didn't have to worry about the cruel stares of the villagers. Here, among the trees and animals, she found solace. But little did Lade know that her daily visit to the forest were not just about survival. Something mysterious was about to unfold, a secret that would change her life forever. One fateful day, as Lade was busy singing in the forest, her melodious voice attracted an unusual creature. The creature, a mysterious figure, was drawn to the sound like a moth to a flame. It silently followed the trail of her voice, weaving through the trees until it finally found her sitting under a large fruit tree, singing her heart out. The creature stood at a distance, mesmerized by the beauty of her voice. Its usually restless nature seemed to calm in the presence of her song, and it stood there quietly, soaking in every note. Lade, unaware of the creature's presence, continued to sing, her voice flowing like a gentle stream through the forest. When she eventually stopped singing, intending to make her way back home, the creature quickly moved closer. It rushed towards her, startling Lade. Her heart pounded in her chest as she turned to face the figure before her. She had heard tales of spirits and bush babies that dwelt in the forest, and now one of them stood right before her eyes. The creature, seeing the fear in her eyes, tried to calm her down. "Please, don't be afraid," it said softly. "Your voice is a gift. It brings peace to my soul. Could you sing for me once more before you leave?" Lade was trembling with fear, but something in the creature's voice was pleading, almost gentle. Gathering her courage, she sang another song, her voice quivering at first, but eventually flowing as smoothly as before. When she finished, she quickly turned to leave, her legs shaky, and hurried back home without looking back. The next day, hunger gnawed at her stomach. Despite the spirit's invitation to return, Lade was hesitant. Fear lingered from her encounter the day before, and she didn't want to go back to the bush. Instead, she wandered around the village, hoping someone would offer her food. But the villagers were not kind that day, and she found no luck. As her hunger grew unbearable, she finally decided to venture back into the bush to find some fruit. When she arrived, she found the spirit waiting for her under the same tree. This time, the spirit didn't rush at her but waited patiently as she ate the fruit she had gathered. After finishing her fruit, the spirit once again requested that she sing. Lade, realizing that she had little choice, agreed. This time, the fear had somewhat subsided, and she felt more at ease as they talked and spent the day together. The spirit was friendly. As the sun began to set and Lade prepared to leave, the spirit stopped her. "I know you are an orphan and that life has been hard for you," it said, "but you are not alone. Just as your voice has comforted me, I want to comfort you in return." With that, the spirit stretched forth its hand and handed Lade a small, intricately carved calabash. "Take this calabash," it said. "Whenever you need anything, just speak into it, and your needs will be fulfilled." Lade hesitated, her hands trembling as she accepted the calabash. She hurried back home, clutching it tightly, her heart filled with a mixture of hope and fear. Though she was scared, she couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, this mysterious gift could change her life. When she got home, Lade placed the calabash in the corner of her small hut. She couldn't bring herself to use it right away. What if it didn't work? What if it was all just a cruel joke? But deep down, she knew she had nothing to lose. The next day, Lade eagerly made her way into the bush, hoping to meet the spirit again. But to her disappointment, the spirit was nowhere to be found. She searched around, her eyes scanning every corner of the familiar forest. But the only company she had was the whispering wind and rustling leaves. Disheartened, she picked a few fruit from the trees and returned home, her mind filled with unanswered questions. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Lade continued her daily struggles, hunting for food and barely getting by. Each day was a test of endurance, and though she now possessed the mysterious calabash, she hesitated to use it. The encounter with the spirit still felt like a distant dream, and she wasn't sure if the calabash was real or if it would truly work. Then one fateful day, after months of surviving on the little she could find, her luck ran out. The trees bore no fruit, and no one in the village offered her any food. Her stomach rumbled with hunger, and the pangs grew so intense that she couldn't hold back her tears. She stayed indoors, crying softly, feeling utterly defeated. As she sat there, a thought crossed her mind. The calabash. She had almost forgotten about it. The words of the spirit echoed in her ears, reminding her of the promise made. Desperate and with nothing left to lose, she grabbed the calabash and whispered, "I am hungry." To her astonishment, a plate of steamy hot food appeared in her room. Lade gasped, stepping back in fear. She stared at the food, unsure if it was safe to eat. What if it was a trick? What if something terrible happened to her if she ate it? Despite her fear, her hunger gnawed at her, and she hesitated no more. She spoke again, "I am hungry." This time, something even more shocking happened. A voice, deep and mysterious, echoed from the calabash. "You haven't eaten the food I provided. Why complain that you are hungry?" Lade's heart skipped a beat. She had never heard of a calabash that could talk. Her confusion and fear grew, but she was also intrigued. How could this be possible? Gathering her courage, she decided to speak to the calabash. "But I don't know where this food came from. How can I eat it when I don't know the source?" The calabash remained silent for a moment. Then Lade, in a bold move, made another request. "I want money. Give me money." In an instant, a bag of coins appeared in the corner of her small room. Lade's eyes widened in disbelief. "Money! Real money! Hey, money!" She cautiously approached the bag, opened it, and picked a few coins. Without wasting any time, she hurried outside to see if the money was real and if it would be accepted by the villagers. To her amazement, the coins were genuine, and she was able to buy food and other necessities with ease. Lade returned home with her heart full of joy. For the first time in a long while, she ate to her heart's content. From that day on, she was never hungry again. Whenever she needed anything, she would speak to the calabash and it would provide. However, as Lade's fortune changed, strange things began to happen in the village. Unexplainable troubles swept through the community like a storm. Traders couldn't account for their sales, and money seemed to vanish into thin air. The rich began to lose their wealth, and chaos spread among the villagers. Everywhere, people whispered about a curse or a hidden evil at work. Like this video if you enjoyed this story. Also drop a comment and subscribe for more video. See you in the next one. Goodbye.